Hey traders, Mike Katz here. Today's takeaways coming at you on Thursday. So, SPY's a little bit of a reversal, it looks like, potentially, I should say. We kind of are trying to put in this higher low and tested 266 right around there. Looks to be above there right now. I think if we get above 270 and clear this pivot, that could kind of negate the downtrend, the weakness we've had, and see if we can get to 280. So that's kind of been on my mind. I've been trying to put on some swing trades on the long side, not the trashy names, but a couple of decent symbols, decent companies that are setting up in uptrends and had pulled back a little bit. But spiders are starting to act better for now. We'll see if it translates into a bigger move or if we make a lower high here versus 270, and then we might get some more downside again. So definitely important couple of days coming up. And let's see, today I traded AMD quite a bit. That had earnings. Had a pop yesterday after hours, moved up pretty strongly. So I was off the desk for most of yesterday. Pretty much all of yesterday I was out. Traded remotely a little bit on CHEK. I'll mention that. But this in after hours was running up and then stabilized. Had another push up in the morning. And there were some decent trades. There was a lot of liquidity. The stock traded 130, 140 million shares on the day. So definitely lots of liquidity. I didn't trade as much as I would usually in a name like this, but I love these 10, 11, $15 stocks that are doing 100 million shares a day on earnings. A lot of liquidity, a lot of ways to enter and exit, and you could catch decent moves here. And when you don't have to worry about commissions, it's it makes sense. So AMD was really good, where there was a lot of pullbacks. This thing rarely would just go and not pull back. A lot of it was just like don't chase, wait for the pullback and join trend in both directions, and that worked. And then here when it kind of topped out, um, I was pretty close to getting stopped out. So I was short on the way up a little bit here, and then shorted more. And then here I pretty much said to myself, if it's going to get above 20, I'm going to take it off. But here we are at 17, 18, and I'm going to put a pretty big position on because my risk is pretty small here near my stop. And so I was able to get a little bit more than double my size here, and then was able to kind of trade accordingly afterwards. But I had written the trade off here. I thought it was going to be a loss. It ended up being a nice little surprise when it did not stop me out, when it did not get above 1120. So that was pretty good. What else? Later on throughout the day, there was a nice move down that we kind of captured and then kind of dried up, went sideways. Down here, I thought maybe it's bottoming out. Made a little bit, couldn't really capitalize on it. And then here in this sideways range, I traded some more, but the range got much tighter, so I had to trade bigger. And I was just here trying to scalp for a few cents. But that was good. AMD. Dare was one that was on my radar from yesterday. Basically pops up. The news wasn't that great, and I'll let you guys read up on it. But the news wasn't that great. The stock is a piece of crap. It moves up. And before I get into the chart pattern, basically they got filings, they got offerings recently, their overhead warrants, they lose money, they have no revenue, and the float was pretty decent, so I was willing to trade this a little bit bigger, and it actually worked out. So it was just a matter of being proactive and having a bias and starting in early on something like this. If it would have gotten above 150, I would have taken it off, take the loss, and then revisit it if it got to $2. But it stuffed hard early, right on the open, and then just started consolidating here below VWAP, right there. So there was some good spots to put some trades on, and then just work my way out of it as it went lower. I was kind of hoping this thing can make its way to $1, but today wasn't the day. And it just kind of hung around 120. So I'll have it on my radar for the next couple of days. I'm not swinging this. This is not something I want to swing, but I'll keep it on my radar, see if it has any volume tomorrow. Today I think it did about 10 million shares. Probably do a lot less tomorrow. So moving on, OMER, OMER, midday had a news piece basically that the FDA granted them approval, fast track approval, I think was the language here, for their drug. And this was a stock that has about 30% short float. And if I'm not mistaken, that was going to add up to about 10 million shares or so. So there was a nice spike, and I started buying it right around here, 1450-ish right here, and it started working right away. Pulls back, goes sideways, doesn't really fall apart, and sets up for another move up and starts to grind higher. That worked out well. I scaled my way out of it as it went higher, and then the rest I took off somewhere here. I think 15, north of 15, somewhere around there. So, I didn't lock in as much as I could have. I was kind of targeting the daily level, 1575, but I did lock in a decent amount, so that was a pretty good trade. And some of the other earnings names that are in play were good. MGM ended up becoming SSR, and this had some pretty clean moves on the chart, not that hard to read, and it was offering 10, 20, 30, 50 cent moves, which was nice. And with our tape reading skills and watching the level 2 and being SSR and just doing a decent amount of volume, this is pretty good. And same goes for AAL. That was pretty good, pretty clean. SSR was in effect, and the moves, was pretty clean. They were pretty clean in the sense that not a whole lot of head fakes. When it started going one way, it would keep going, so that was good. And then, today I took off CHEK. CHEK, I swung this last night. If we look at the symbol, it's another piece of crap. It scored really high for me as far as the short goes. And yesterday I came in, I was trying to get borrows pre-market. Actually, no, I was on the road. I was trying to get borrows. Didn't work. Couldn't get anything. And then later on, probably right around here, was able to get the borrows. Not a whole lot, but some. And then started putting some on right here. So got about a 15 average. And then this morning, when last night they announced an offering, and I don't think they priced it yet, but they announced an offering, so this thing gaps down. Closes weak yesterday, gaps down, and I just probably closed out a little too early, but I was okay with quick hit and run. Covered right on the open at 10, covered half. Try to get eighths for the other half, barely made it, and then when it was curling back up, I covered it $9 for the other half. So this ended up being a really nice trade as well. CHEK, just one of these crazy movers from $4 to almost 20 in 2 days, just absolutely nuts. And then I'm trying to remember the symbol from today. I made sure that I didn't want to trade it today, day one. There it is, GNPX. This reminds me of Elfin. They also had the same type of listing on NASDAQ, small, I forget what the language is, but a small cap listing where A-class listing, something like that. Basically, they don't have to go through a lot of background check, and they don't have to meet a whole lot of requirements when it comes to listing. And, this doesn't look like a great company, but at the same time, neither did Elfin, and it ran to $135. And I just wasn't interested in getting caught up in something like that today, especially since it's an IPO, especially since there's nothing to the left of this chart here. Let's look at this really quick on the volume profile. So if you look at the volume profile, basically IPOs pulls back from 5 to 4, goes back up, and then bases here for a while. And look at the volume profile. All this volume that traded here below 6, everybody's in the money and they're happy, as opposed to being stuck and under pressure. So that was mainly the reason why I didn't want to be on the short side of this. And I made sure that I didn't even try to get a locate. That way I wouldn't be tempted to short it. And chances are I would have been early and you know, I would have missed out. I'd have been getting hurt on the way up. So um, missed opportunity maybe, but I was just playing it safe. Also, I didn't want to get caught up in another T12 halt. I'm still halted on that elephant position, and you know, so I didn't want another T12 halt. Ended up unwinding pretty nicely from a high of like 18 to 11, and you know, so I didn't trade this, but okay with me. I'll take that as a missed opportunity. Maybe I'll watch it for the next few days, see if anything develops, but that's pretty much that. Amazon just reported. I'm going to run back to my desk, see if there's anything to do here. It looks like that spiked pretty well. All-time highs around 1600, and now we are at 1611. So kind of flagging above. I will be watching this thing, how it behaves here at all-time high resistance, and as long as it holds above 1600, I don't know, maybe there's a trade in it on the long side, but you know, it's not a high conviction trade. I'll see how it plays out. The last one that I tried this way was Netflix, and that one looked really good. Same scenario, all-time highs, gaps up, and gave me my setups that I like on the hourly, and you know, worked well, was in the money quite a bit, and then just ends up coming back and getting me out on the swing. So we'll see how Amazon plays out. Not a high conviction trade by any means, but I'm going to run back to my desk and check that out. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the feedback. Lots of DMs for me to get through. I will be making some time to get through those. And you know, anytime you guys have any questions, more than happy to try to answer them on Twitter. So thank you guys. Mike Katz, 7 Points Capital with today's Trader Takeaways.